Right, evening, folks. Welcome to the first of the PUP Q&A sessions. Everybody online, ready to start? Thanks for coming and watching us answer a few of your questions tonight. As we put on the leaflet, we're holding two of these sessions. First one's tonight, 7 o'clock, and the second one is on the 3rd of May at 7 o'clock as well, and details of that are on our website. Throughout the session tonight, there's a link posted on the video there. That's puprogress.org.uk/live. And you can add your questions in there. We've already had quite a few come in from the public, so thank you for that. What we're going to do is we're going to have just a discussion around the table tonight. So I'm joined with several other candidates. Some of the others are still out campaigning and leafleting in other areas. We've got Stephen Jones and Kay Roberts and Neville Dart, who are the County Council candidates for Spennymoor and also Town Council candidates in their relevant wards. And we've got Julie Wright, Sadie Hartnett, Rachel Richards, Warren Hodgson and Laura Geldard, all standing for the Town Council. Right, guys, let's not beat around the bush anymore. I've got a list of questions from the public. I'm going to give you the first one. And the first one is, I'm very interested to hear about your pledge to appoint an environment champion. Could you tell me more about this role, how it will be funded, and how the role will influence the work of the council? So I think I'll come in first on this. Firstly, I think this is a great new initiative that we've come up with, and it's going to cost nothing for the council. That's the first and most important point. What we're going to do is we're going to appoint a councillor to take on this role who's going to be our green conscience, and it isn't going to cost us a penny. Laura, do you want to come in and speak a bit more about what the roles and responsibilities are going to be?
Yes, I mean, it's as we go, just making sure we're obviously more sustainable within the town and what we're doing in the events and things like that, possibly looking at doing zero waste events or all the waste recyclable or compostable. We're also looking at involving with Bioregional, which is a worldwide non-profit charity that Middlesbrough Council actually already use and broadcast quite famously about it. And they also work with the likes of like Wilco's and Marks and Spencer's, just basically analysing what you're already doing and thinking of ways that you can be more environmentally sustainable within the whole council, and the whole town can get on board with it as well. So it just looks really promising. Like I say, there's no fees involved with getting them on board with us as well. It's really good.
Yeah, I think it's a really positive initiative that we're doing here. What we're doing is something that's at no cost, and it is so important going forward. You know, climate change should be on everybody's agenda now. We're hearing so much about the national headlines with it, and you know, it's time for us to do something about it. I'll admit, having been a councillor for the last 8 years, it's not been particularly high up on the agenda for the local council. And I think if we can get it further up there, if we can start looking at climate change and the environment as part of everything that we do, then it can only be a good thing for the town and, of course, ultimately the rest of the planet. Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? Yeah, Neville?
Yeah, I mean, going back to my previous employment with a big college in Teesside, it's important from a procurement point of view. You get your suppliers on board as well, and that's something the council probably needs to just check, make sure that you are buying from sustainable sources, and that that you've got that buy-in across the whole supply chain, not just what the council does in Spennymoor. It's what the council buys worldwide.
Yeah, thanks for that, Neville. Anybody else want to come in on that one? Okay, thank you very much for the question. We'll move on. So our next one is, how will you manage council finances better than currently to ensure 0% council tax increases? So this is obviously our headline policy. Our headline policy is we're going to freeze council tax as much as possible, and we're going to hold 0% increases for as many years as we can. And I think part and parcel with that is obviously looking at the finances and looking after our public money well, and so that when costs rise, which they always inevitably do, that we take the hit and make sure that we're looking at things in the best way, so that we're not passing those on to the public, and that we're making the savings in the council. There's a lot of work to be done on this. We've got a lot of new faces in the group, and I think we've got some really good ideas. Julie, do you want to talk to us a bit about your ideas with regards to finance?
Yeah, so people who do know me will know that I'm like ridiculously tight. I don't like to spend money, but when it needs to be spent, we need to get the best value for money. So I think we need to look at how we are approaching people at the moment and how we're getting the costs in for various like things such as, I don't know, party in the park and things similar to that. Instead of just putting a notice out there, perhaps we need to look at other ways, such as approaching the people direct and asking them for direct quotes, local companies for direct quotes, and seeing, instead of waiting for them to come to us. And I think we need to restructure the way that the council look at that overall and try and make some savings.
Yeah, you know, I think that's valid points, and it's great coming from somebody who's, you know, sort of on the outside in, has no experience of being on the council before, and is looking at it from, you know, from a way in which we would look at spending our own money and looking after our own money, because that's what we need to be thinking about. You know, the same vigilance you have with your own pocket should be the vigilance you have with public money. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, that's what got me interested in the first place, was basically just because seeing everything that's been written on Facebook and things like that, and I just thought, oh my God, this is absolutely ridiculous. So instead of just sitting there and just saying like everybody else, but this is ridiculous the way that they're spending the money, do something about it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, I can continue saying, why are they doing this? And I can say I've tried to make a difference myself.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody else have any views on sort of the general financial management? Yeah, Neville.
Sorry, I mean, again, I'm sorry to keep going back, but my departmental budget was over £3.5 million, which is greater than the council's annual budget. And VFM, as Julie rightly says, is the key. It is essential that you have a policy and that you apply that policy to the most simple things. There's got to be what you call a throwaway budget for the, you're not going to get 3 quotes for a bag of paper clips generally. But that said, some of the bigger purchases and the ongoing things that the council spends do need reviewing and looking at, I think, and having that policy in place and looking at what we do and how we do it is key.
Thanks, Dave. Anyone else?
Yeah, just be keen to add some lean principles into that as well, just general efficiency principles. There's always waste that can be caught, even the littlest thing.
Yeah, that's right. You know, and the great thing about this group, and hopefully we're all successful in the elections, is that we'll have so many fresh eyes on these accounts. We'll be looking at it from different perspectives, you know, and we'll come together and we'll think of better ways in which we can spend the money. And procurement's one of them. You know, buying things and signing contracts with suppliers and getting the best value. Yeah, we can do a lot more at attracting more quotes, and you know, I'm really excited about your enthusiasm for doing that and making some strides in financial management. And with that, we'll be able to confidently set a 0% increase budget year after year. Neville?
Just come back again. I mean, the other thing, I know the council has, or councils have, experts in finance. That said, I think it's important that some of us have financial expertise, and I certainly would put myself forward as being one of those people, having taught finance at university for a number of years and managed significant budgets. I've been part of audit committees with the major audit companies in the country for a business I was a director of with an £81 million turnover. Finance doesn't faze me. What does is when people don't ask the right questions, and that's key. So within our group, we can very easily explain what finance is about, public finance is about. It shouldn't really worry anyone.
Yeah, and another really good points there, and what what's making me think about so much here is the balance of people that we've got. So we have got people like you, Neville, who've got that massive financial experience and can look at it from that technical point. But then we've got people who, are very much more inexperienced with it all and looking at it, bright as if it was their own purse and asking questions that, you might not think of, Neville. So you'll think of questions that we don't know anything about. And there'll be guys there that they're thinking of things that we don't know as well. So that's why this group is going to work so well, because we come from all sorts of different backgrounds and we're working together and we're going to achieve some great things with the finances. I really think that's true. Right, guys, we'll have a look at another one. Here's a one then. How can you say you're supporting local businesses when you had your leaflets printed online and not by the local printer? So I think I'll talk a little bit first about how we got to come with the printer that we did. As it says on the bottom of all of our leaflets, we were keen to fund this all ourselves. So every piece of funding that we've done for our campaign has come from our own candidates' pockets. We're providing the funding for this. And again, I suppose it's treating money as if it were your own, and this is indeed our own money. So what we've done is we went out and we've got 6 quotes, and we've got 6 quotes mainly from local businesses and from a couple of onlines as well. And, the fact of the matter is the online business at the end of the day came in almost over half cheaper than some of the other local companies. So I think what we would do as a group is we'd replicate that on the town council. So we will encourage quotes from local businesses as much as possible. And believe me, I went all over County Durham to get quotes for the leaflets. But at the end of the day, what we've got to do is find value for money. And that's exactly what we would do when we manage the council finances as well. Anybody have any further thoughts on that, Steve?
Yeah, I'll just reiterate what you said. Obviously, when we go out to look for prices for leaflets and things like that, we did target the local companies first, before we even start looking else. But it was just a matter of cost effective this time. And with such a little pot, what we've all contributed ourselves, we had no alternative this time around. But yes, in the ideal world, we'd love to keep business local. But sometimes it just isn't possible.
Yeah. And there's so many other ways in which we will support local businesses. It's not all about awarding of contracts and that with the council. It's about the things we can do to help the existing businesses survive. And, the council have done a lot of that work already during the pandemic. I was the one that moved several motions to make sure that town hall rents weren't charged through the COVID period. So when people couldn't trade, we weren't charging our local businesses for rent. And I think, going forward with that business first attitude, looking after our local people and our local businesses is entirely the right way to go. Anyone else have any point to make on that one? Julie? No. Oh. Sorry, Neville.
I might as well chip in again.
Yeah.
Print costs are so variable. And the first thing you've got to realise is these leaflets are actually what's classed as perishable. They're very time related. It's pointless printing a leaflet on the best quality paper you can find, the most expensive print. People, when they're done, they're either going to burn them, throw them away or something. That's a fact. So you choose the right quality and the right supplier. I think the people that we could go to locally and in the town, given the right brief, can come up with what we want in future. And if they can't, then they need to sharpen their pencils, don't they?
Yeah. And that's fair. We will. What we'll do is we'll balance looking after local businesses with looking after the public money. That's that's how you manage your finance as well, isn't it? I think that's entirely right. Okay.
Can I just add?
Yes.
I really do think though that preference needs to be given to the local businesses, and we need to speak to them first, and we need to
Yeah.
give them a fair bite of the cherry. Previously, like I was saying with getting value for money, I don't think that we approach enough local businesses. Instead, we go to the same three, like the council go to the same 3-4 people constantly, and I do think we need a broader spectrum of businesses to approach, and so yeah, go for the best value for money, but make sure you give everybody the opportunity to give an actual quote first of all.
Yeah. Can I just
Yeah,
jump
no,
in there
yeah.
again? Just to follow on, absolutely good point that Julie's made. That's spot on. It comes down to something which the technical term is called a standing list, which means that we go to all the local people and we vet them in advance. Those who meet the quite right quality standards that the council has to have will be put on a standing list, so that in future they don't have to waste more money that, let's face it, they probably don't have either, in going through a convoluted re-quote process.
Yeah.
You vet them, they're on the list for 2, 3, 4 years, however long you decide, with an ongoing reassessment, but it's a light touch. So that local companies, especially the smaller companies, have a better chance of dealing with what is, the council's, their systems can be quite cumbersome for local people. So, yeah, I would love to see more of the local people join these lists and get the business.
Yeah. I think it's about actively encouraging these quotes, isn't it? And it's about not being lazy and just accepting the fact that, oh, we found 3 quotes. That's it. That's all we need to do. Let's put those 3 quotes in front of council and pick the cheapest one. We do need to be, more dogmatic with getting in there and making sure that all the Spennymoor businesses who can provide the services have the opportunity and are encouraged to quote for the work. All right. Right. Next on the list. How exactly will the public be invited to participate in council meetings? So this is another big topic that we've spoke about in the leaflet, and it's about blowing the doors open of the town hall and allowing the public to take their full part in meetings. And I think this is so important as well. Over the years, and I felt that as a young councillor, and even now, that council meetings can be quite closed shop. They can be quite intimidating for people to engage with. And it's not a place that you want to turn up as a member of the public and question it. And so I think some of the things that I want to see us do, and that that we've committed in the leaflet, is restructuring the committee meetings so that it's not all councillors, all committees, and that we're a more approachable group, but also that we have a public participation item on every agenda. So there'll be an opportunity for the public to come along, raise an issue with us, and for us to have an informal chat with them. Let's and I know to an extent the council has to be all motions and amendments and all of that rubbish, but it also needs to be about people and ideas and having an informal discussion and talking in normal terms. And I'm all for that. I really am all for that. Rachel, do you want to come in?
Yeah, of course. I think that the town council at present doesn't make the best use of social media. I know that the town council has a Facebook page, but it isn't regularly used to publicise our town council meetings. I know that you as a councillor publicise it on your council page, and as do other town councillors, but it's just not really there at the moment. I think that to engage with more people, to engage with a younger demographic that might not be involved in local politics as much, that we increase that social media presence on Facebook, on Twitter, on TikTok, as Kay has so wonderfully suggested in the past, to improve the participation net, that more people can engage in a more wide variety of ways, in that if they can't get to a council meeting, they can look at things on Facebook Live, on Facebook, on Twitter, and make use of those instantaneous channels.
Yeah, there's so much we can do, isn't there? Kate, do you want to come in on that?
Also, as well, with me having a shop, everyone knows how approachable I am. if I get on, I want people to be able to come to the shop and say to me, look, hey, I don't want to come across as like grass or whatever else, but this is happening my road or this is happening down my street. You know, can I just have a word? And I'm more than welcome to take people out the back, have a quiet word with me, and it'll be all confidential and I'll deal with it the best I can. It won't be dealt with there and then, of course, I'll have to go to other people, but I will deal with it the best I can. But there will be like, not like a drop-in centre because it's still my business, but it'll be somewhere where you can actually go to and see someone face to face rather than going online, finding an email address, find a phone number, etc., that they can actually come and approach someone who is approachable.
Yeah, yeah. Rachel?
I completely agree with Kay on that, and that we should maybe look at holding public surgeries in a different setting, so that Kay's business isn't overtaken by council business as such. That we have those public forums where the public can come and have their say in a more informal situation. Have a council coffee morning or council tea morning, so that people can come, have a cuppa, and just speak to their local councillors about things that matter to them. Maybe have them during the school holidays so that people with kids or people that work are able to come along to it, or even on weekends, just so people can attend and put their views across in a less formal situation.
Yeah. Steve?
And in the past, it's not something we haven't actually tried, you know, open forums. I'm sure coffee mornings yourself, Ian, you've done it.
Yeah.
And although it hasn't been met with great popularity, at least the one or two people come along and share the concerns or whatever. And you know what I mean? But we've probably got, it's a better time now to engage that side of things. Do you know what I mean? Than probably it was 4 or 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's certainly what Rachel's saying there makes a lot of sense. I think you've got to shift the dynamics of politics now, and it's got to start looking at social media a lot more. Again, the whole topic of this conversation is to bring the public into meetings and what have you. And I think it's just basically, it's a new era of politics, isn't it?
Mm.
Right.
It's about having real people on the council, real people who live down the street from you. You know, it's not about politicians in suits reading speeches. And I know I've been one of those guys, and there's a place for those guys. But what we need is real people having real discussions with other real people. This is Spennymoor Town Council. You know, it's the town council for Spennymoor.
Exactly.
And Spennymoor people should have every right to be involved, and they should want to be involved as well, and we're going to do that.
Should be welcome to be involved.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah,
Rachel, yeah.
I think we also, whilst the meetings have been on, town council meetings, as yourself and myself have participated in, have been on Zoom, and obviously quality has been higher because it's been on Zoom of the streaming. I think we need to look into, because I've watched previous live streams that from the council chamber, and they're not easy for the public to understand. They're very low volume, it's very difficult to understand, the camera quality is quite poor. I think that's something that we could improve on, and improve the accessibility of that for the public, so that if they can't get down to a meeting, they can follow along on Facebook Live, follow along on YouTube, have somebody monitoring comments if people want to ask questions to their councillors, and improve it that way.
Yeah. You know, and I think we need to make more of this. If one thing we've got from the whole from the Zoom era of council meetings is that we can now we can hear every councillor, and we need to, when we get back into the council chamber and we can have, you know, live face-to-face meetings again, we absolutely need to record them and live streaming them properly so that everybody can see what we're up to. Nev?
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say, just to follow on, I think what you said, Ian, the actual physical presence in the council chamber, especially when the public are present, is very intimidating. And it's that formal sort of procedure that puts a lot of people off, I'm sure. And it doesn't have to be like that. You know, people seem to think that because you sat in the council chamber, you've got to have this crazy, important, pseudo clever way of talking. You don't. You just speak in conversational tone, and that makes it a big, big sort of difference for members of the public, who, let's face it, well, some are absolutely petrified of standing up and knowing they've got 3 minutes to say what they've got to say, and it's going to be read from a pre-written script. It doesn't have to be like that. And I would want to see a modernising council agenda, totally different, more inclusive for the public, more conversational tone. So I think, you know, we need to think about what is our tone of voice, as it's called.
Yeah, great, absolutely. I'm all for that. I'm all for, you know, and I'm all for making it a normal conversation and having normal discussions in the council. We've got to do that if we want to move the place forward.
We're pretty much
Anybody else on the
group. We are.
Yeah, go
You know
on.
what I mean? We're a normal group. We're normal people.
Yeah.
Wanting to represent normal people. Do you know what I mean? It's nothing about being a councillor what makes anybody special or anything. You are the voice for normal people. And we want people to engage with us.
Yourself.
Apart from
I just want to say,
okay, yeah, go on. Yeah.
Oh my God, whoever the next councillors are, hopefully it's me. Please put the comment thing in, because it drives me up the wall seeing them all nattering on, and you can't even say your point. You know what I mean? So that we really need a comment section so you can say, "Oh my God, will you just shut up?" Or "Oh my God, that's a good idea. We back that." You know, definitely 100%. So yeah, that needs to happen. So
Yeah. Okay, right, I've got a questions just come in. Can we talk a bit about activities for the youth and the older generations in Byers Green? So our town council candidate unfortunately can't be here tonight. Sarah Courtley, she's had a COVID infection recently, and she's well as quite a few people have not been well off it. So we wish her a speedy recovery from she'll be fine and back on the campaign trail in a couple of days. Obviously we're standing Sarah Courtley down there as our town council candidate, and we're over the moon to have a candidate who actually lives in the village, and you know, she's living and breathing everything that goes on in Byron on a day-to-day basis, and she's got some fantastic ideas. So what Sarah's pledged to do is spend all of her personal allowance as a councillor in the community, and she's going to be doing that on activities in Byers Green. So some of the ideas she's had are a craft and hobby club. She's team of volunteers who are going to offer painting and photography and knitting and jewellery making classes and all that sort of thing. She's talking about securing an allotment so that young people and older can get involved in a bit of gardening. You know, there's so many things that she's wanting to get in and in Byers Green, that, you know, so many things that we haven't seen in Byers Green for a long time, and an active councillor doing that, I think she is absolutely going to bring to the table. As well as that, of the Spennymoor division of the county council covers Byers. So our three candidates, Neville, Stephen, are here tonight, and I'm sure they might want to think about what they'd be looking to do, especially with regards to neighbourhood funding for the village and that sort of thing. One of you want to come in first on that? I don't mind, though.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Well, I mean, there's no show without punches. So, yeah, I think absolutely. The special county council, the money that is given to the councillors for local purposes tends to go to the same old things, to my mind, time after time. I would want to see what the local communities want and give them that input. Especially, you know, the ideas you've talked about there, you know, gardening. I bet there's a dozen guys and ladies down in Byers Green who are experts in allotments. And to take some of the younger generation and show them how it's done. How do you actually grow a tomato? Not as easy as it sounds. Believe me, it's not. But the expertise is there, so using local expertise. Also, I think what I've seen in other areas is a community activity catalogue, if you want to call it that. I don't know what they can't remember what it's called. With all the local clubs, societies, cadets from Bishop Auckland, cadets from Spennymoor here for the Army Cadets. I know Byers Green's got a very good scout set up, and they got a good grant, didn't they, a couple of years ago from there. But it's having all those contacts, times, dates, phone numbers, email addresses, Facebook pages that parents and young people can go to, and they can, get the best deal for themselves. But I would be very supportive.
I think
So,
we have been very supportive of Byes Green, and we've spent a lot of time down there ourselves. You know what I mean? And you don't have to be down long to find the community atmosphere down there. You know what I mean? Anything involved with community presence, they'll all gather around, they'll all pull together, and you know what I mean? What they don't want, though, is these allotments and these playing fields and all that turned into housing, and absolutely bring this village, a nice small community village, into a massive housing development. And when I've heard little bits about what's going to go off down there, I would be well opposed to any new development down that side, or down that village, sorry. And that's coming from residents as well, who was actually brought them concerns to myself. So it's not just something I'm making up.
yeah, I mean, I'm proud to have been one of the county councillors for the Spennymoor division for as long. And, we have done some great work down in Byes Green. We've looked after the Methodist Church when they've needed heating systems sorting out. And we've done various other projects down there. And we have people on planning applications, both to support them in, building that private house where the county council were going to turn it away, and there was no real reason to what you're saying, and opposing massive house building in the village.
Yeah, that's against.
So that
What I'm saying isn't about building a certain house on a certain piece of land. It's about mass development, and what would be at a cost of playgrounds, allotments, playing fields. That's not the answer.
Yeah. Okay, the lady sent in a follow up to that, and she says, "I've spoken with the Labour candidate today, and I had wrote a letter regarding their proposals and my thoughts. I personally feel we need to cater for the youth to help combat antisocial behaviour, their boredom, mental health support, awareness on drugs and alcohol, and there are voluntary agencies to dip into, which we could utilise the village hall and the social club. We could cater for older generations, coffee in that afternoons, and give the kids their football field back. I'm speaking as a very experienced mother in the village of 21 years, with boys now aged 26 and 27 and 18, and as a registered health professional. Generations, yes, crafts and carnivals back, but we need to keep abreast with the club now, and how some children can easily be influenced by peers and social media." And she's keen to chat with Sarah about that in more detail, so I'll certainly put the lady in touch with Sarah offline, and we'll make sure that we can address her concerns. But thank you for that. Thank you for your time in sending us that message. Okay, guys, I think we had quite a good discussion tonight. We are holding another live session again on the 3rd of May. That's the week before the polling day, where I'm sure we'll get a few more questions in to ask and answer then. So thank you very much for coming tonight. Thank everybody for watching and for submitting your questions, and we'll see you on the campaign trail. Thanks very much.